All right, so first thing we need to do, this crashed on me, so you might notice it looks a little bit different. First thing we need to do is actually go to our layers, and I'm just going to go ahead, and you would want to save this beforehand, but I'm going to go ahead and just hit bake all, which subsequently makes it look like that, which is kind of weird. Hang on a second, see if I can undo that. Take that out of recording mode. I wonder why it would do that. Yeah, bake all. Okay, there we go. I guess I had to be out of recording mode. Didn't seem to like that. Okay. All right, so yeah. So I'm going to bake all those in. Otherwise, when you go to export it, it will only export out whatever the current layer is that you just painted, so that's not very useful. So what we need to do before we can turn this into an image is that right now we are actually poly painting, which means that each individual poly has a color attached to it, which is not what we're looking to do. So it's a Z plugin. I'm just going to go ahead and click this little thing so it pops over here. It's just easier. And I'm going to go to UV Master, and actually you got to lower this to the lowest level. So I'm going to go to Geometry here, and I'm just going to lower this down. And then I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to hit Unwrap, and it will unwrap it. Now, just to show you what that looks like, if I go down to UV Map, you know we had these auto ones we used before, but if I hit Morph, it'll go, and you can see it actually looks sort of like a like some like an animal that's pelted. Okay, and that's the idea, is that you're taking a 3D object and you are unwrapping it to a 2D image. Okay, and that's really what we're trying to do. So I am gonna go ahead and pump this back up just because I think it helps. Now, the next thing we need to do is another plugin. So we're going to do the multi-map exporter. And what I want to do is the normal map. Well, first thing, we need to export the mesh. And I also need to export the texture, which is what we painted here, and a normal map. The normal map is going to be a comparison between the low poly and the high poly versions. Okay. Now, I'm going to click on Export Options, and that will give me the options for each one of the maps that are possible. Now, we're only doing 2 maps in a geometry. So I'm going to click on the Mesh Export. Just make sure it's on level 1, right? And obviously I want quads, and that's fine. That's all you need to know. The other one we're doing is the normal map, and you just want to make sure that Tangent, Adaptive, and Smooth is on. Tangent is local space. If you don't have that on, it'll be world space. Maya, in particular, uses tangent space, so that's why it needs to be that. Okay, I'll put that in there. The other thing you want to do is make sure that you have 2048. That's the resolution. It's going to be 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels, and then you are going to, that'll be good, and we will hit create all maps. It's going to ask where to save it, so I'm just going to make a new folder, and we'll just call this ZBrush. Oops, no spaces. ZBrush export. Okay. Open up that, and I'm just going to call it Liz Man. That's fine. And we will hit save, and it'll start working on trying to figure that out. Okay. And I am all right. So once that says that's done, just go ahead and close out of ZBrush and open up, save it or whatever, and then open up Maya. So we're going to do first things first. I just so we can make sure that we can actually even load in an OBJ, which is it's a generic modeling format, model format that is used on a bunch of different programs. But OBJ export, just make sure it has loaded and unloaded. So you just go to Window, Settings, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and then you're just going to turn both these on. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to make a new project. So I'm going to do Project Window, hit New, and we're just going to call this Skin Lizard _ Maya. So I know it's a Maya project folder. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to make, I'm going to put on the desktop, it's actually going to make a folder that has all these subfolders in there that hold all the stuff that makes, scenes. And you'll see later on when you take the other 3D class, if you haven't already taken it. Hit accept. It'll actually make all that stuff. Now what I'm going to do is, if you look, I will have my ZBrush folder here, and I also have the one that Maya just made here. So I'm going to open up this, I'm going to put this one over here, I'm going to open up this, put this one over here, and this, I'm going to take my images, which are these two here, and I'm going to drop them into the source images folder. This is where all the images from Maya will get their pictures in order to lay on top of the models. And in the scenes folder, I'm going to grab the retopoed man. I'm going to put that in there as well. Okay. And I will exit out of both of these, and I will open up Maya, and now I'm just going to go ahead and import, and you'll notice it'll automatically go right to where our scenes folder is. Hit import, boom, there it is. Okay, turn the grid off. All right, so I'm just going to select this guy. I'm just going to make sure you're in the polygons menu set. I'm just going to go normals and hit soften edge, and what that's going to do is it's just generically, if you look, it just makes it softer, so it's not hard normals. Okay, so I'm going to click on them. I'm going to right click and hold down, go assign new material, select blend. Then you can see these are a bunch of different options. So obviously I have a color, so I'm going to click on that, click on file. It'll bring up this panel, hit the folder, and I need to grab my color, open, boom. You can't see it right now, but if you hit 6 or you hit this up here, it'll actually show you the color. Okay, click back on him. There we go, go to blend. All right, and the other one is a bump map. Even though it's a normal map, it's a type of bump map. So I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna switch it from bump to tangent space normal. Remember when we did that earlier? I'm gonna go to file, and then hit this. Go to NM for normal map, hit open, and boom, there it is. Now what's interesting is that you can see it looks a lot like the other model, right? But you can definitely see how there's some faceting on the outside. And if I click on it, you can actually see it's not the same resolution as the other one, but it fakes it in such a way that it appears like the other model. And that's basically how it's done. So if I want to just do like a cool quick render of this, what I might do is turn on this resolution gate here. This little blue ball with the white thing. I'll hit on my render settings, and I'm going to switch this to, okay, so mental ray is not in there. You don't have to do this part, but just if you want to make it look nice. So I'm going to have to go to Window, Settings Preferences again, Plugin Manager, and I got to look for Maya 2 MR right here. So Maya 2 mental ray. I'm going to hit Loaded and Auto Load. I don't know why this doesn't do this by default. Should have already been on there. All right, and then I'll just hit Close. Close. Now I'll go back into my render button here, and I'll switch this to mental ray. And I'm going to go indirect lighting. I'm going to do physical sun and sky. And that should be, I'm going to hit 4 just to get the wireframe. Okay. I'm going to click and drag just so I get this. I'm going to hit W for the move tool, pull this guy over here. Okay, back to 6. And I'm just going to make this a little more kind of the lighting that I want. And that looks fine. And I'm going to select the camera here, and I am going to go to this thing where my gamma is, 1.1. You aren't going to know any of this. We'll do it in class, so don't worry about it. I just want to show you how this looks. And then I'll hit render, and it'll go over to the other screen, but once it pops up, I'll bring it over so you guys can see it. All right. Takes a couple seconds. Mental ray is not real fast. It's definitely faster than PBR. This is what it looks like, and it looks horrible. The reason why is that there's actually reflection on this surface. I didn't turn any of that off, and it's also kind of shiny. So I'm going to take my eccentricity, pull that kind of up, take my specular color way down, reflectivity off. It's obviously not reflective. And then I will try to render that again and see what happens. And you can kind of see how it looks. Okay, yeah. So, but you can see how in a real time this looks pretty cool, and it definitely looks somewhat like you would see in a video game, where you get a little bit of faceting, but it's fake. And that is it.